We're starting a bit late today. We are coming in from Victoria Island on Vancouver Island today to restream our Get Resourced. And today we're talking about inner chaos and what that looks like, and our view on what psychology is, what spirituality is, and what it really means to get resourced from within. So we can be the calm in the chaos, with any conflicts, with the challenges that come up in our lives. And Dre's just setting up the Facebook group because it's a bit challenging with this restream today. So hopefully we can see all your comments today. We try to look at all of them and get you guys in here when you're speaking with us. Sometimes they don't show up, so hopefully they all do today. So Dre, how's that going? How are you feeling? What's alive in you today?
Stressed.
Oh, yeah. Technology.
Anxiousness. Had a bit of a whirlwind night, so this really got up like an hour ago. And so and just noticing the inner conflict within me of like, oh my God, I didn't get through what I needed to do, like usually at the start of my day. And another part of me, it's like it's okay to rest. And so this is so relevant in this conversation today about chaos and how do I navigate the inner chaos within myself, the different parts of myself, the different psyches and splits about myself. And yeah. And for that, I'm excited about the conversation. Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting.
Yeah. I mean, what's alive in you?
What's alive in me? Little heaviness at the top of my head. Just memory of having a lot of fun and insight last night, yet sleeping in longer than we usually do. And just really looking forward to the conversation about splits, psyches, separations within ourselves, and how I've personally seen psychology progress and where I think it's going. Yeah. I know for myself, there's been so many shifts and changes, and maybe I'll just open up the conversation with, I think years ago, people would think that people were crazy if they had voices or other voices in their head. They would put them on antipsychotic drugs and all different things. And now, not only IFS, which is internal family systems, a lot of people really accept psychics and people hearing voices and people talking to dead people and all sorts of things. And so, curious about how we contact all these different parts, and curious what different parts you've discovered about yourself. I know I have a very spiritual part that gets connected to things I would consider as beyond the veil, or what we live in this 3D realm in my heavy, dense body arena. I also have an ego that, I wonder how other people are perceiving me. And I have another part of me that says, it really doesn't matter. I have a part of me that says, oh, there's a lot of deep pain in the world. And another part of me that goes, oh, actually, everything is so deeply aligned underneath my perception of what pain is. And seeing that some people may judge ugliness in others, and sometimes I see just pure beauty in all of it. And so there's just so many different aspects of seeing things and perceptual realities. I have this really insecure part of myself, and I have this confident part of myself. There's just so many moving parts. And then when we talk about integration and self, how do we integrate those parts and accept all those parts and not go crazy with them all speaking to us at different times? So I'm curious what you have to say about that, Mr. Dre.
Well, just recognizing how, like 5, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, I would be deemed as bipolar or crazy, and I can see that this remnants of wearing a mask and just powering through things, because as I dive into myself, it can get very confusing. It can get very overwhelming and chaotic, and I'm afraid because I don't know where I'm being pulled to. There's so many parts of me, right? It's as if like I'm letting them drive the bus and each of them are driving the bus. And imagine that, right? If you're switching drivers all the time with different personalities, they'll be driving differently. And so that's very chaotic. That's really letting myself be in a way blended into my parts, right? I'm not sure. Like sometimes I'm so immersed in a part of myself that it becomes me, right?
Mm.
There's no sense of that awareness. And of course, when there's an awareness of observing my parts, it does require for me a space of reflection, inner awareness, or just stopping. Because if I'm not conscious, then something's running me. Some unconscious part of me is running me, right? I gotta become aware of like, oh, what's happening right now, right? And I judge myself in a way. Hey, Giselle. Good to
Hi,
see you in the
Giselle.
comments. We see you coming in from YouTube. So that works. Chats from YouTube works.
Okay. I'm curious if it
Yeah.
is on there. Last time the chats underneath my personal Facebook group or page did work, but chats on your page and our Facebook group didn't seem to come in. So yay, Giselle. Mm-hmm. Curious if you
Yeah.
notice different parts of you, Giselle, popping up. What parts do you notice? And how you brought up a good point. The observer, the objective observer, who can just witness what's going on. What
Yeah.
part of me is that? The soul, the higher self, this part of me that can see all the different parts come up without allowing it to take over me or drive the bus. The part that perhaps gets triggered when other people elicit the trauma response when part of us has been tucked away.
Yeah. So I just want to complete that thread because I had a
Ah,
thought and it wasn't complete.
oh, I'm sorry.
Um, no, don't apologize. I'm just acknowledging that there's a thread there, and then Giselle
Mm.
came in. So I want to continue and close it. Is for me in my inner experience, the easy route is for me to play a part,
Oh,
meaning to act and to wear a mask of who Andre should be.
mm-hmm.
And that requires me to numb all the sensations I'm feeling in my body and all the different thoughts and pretend that they're not there. I'm not going to entertain it or give it energy. I can even say I'm not even manifesting those thoughts. Cancel, cancel, cancel. Even any negative thoughts that come in. Nope. I got to be strong. I got to be confident. I got to keep going. Right. And I find that to be simple because there's a one track mind of who I should be. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when I shift to creating space for all the parts in myself, it's overwhelming and chaotic because I'm swinging from one side to the other. Right. And this is part of the process for me. It's part of the journey for me to experience all of it so I know what's really going on within my ecosystem without, in a way, going crazy, losing myself. Okay. And it may seem very chaotic. And that's why when I do this with you, when I do it in a group of people that can accept me and allow those voices to be heard and seen as they are, I lessen the judgment on myself. Because when I judge myself, that's where the shame comes in. That's where I create the shadow. I push it away and I start becoming fragmented. And I go back to what I'm comfortable with, which is playing that role. I'm acting again, that mask. And I so deeply value authenticity. Like, I yearn it in my life. For myself, it is as if like I cannot be fake. But what's interesting is as I develop myself and I learn about myself, I realize there's degrees of fakeness. I maybe 5 years ago, I thought I was being authentic,
Yeah.
but I was authentic for my level of awareness at that time. But as I continue to unlayer myself, when I look back, I'm like, "Oh, man, that was a different version of Andre." I am actually more authentic now because I have more awareness of all of myself. Yeah. So where I'm going with this is how do I come back to a sense of control, right? And that control is more of this anxiety of like, okay, I want to compartmentalize this. And I just got to simply say that when I analyze it, when I think about it, that's when I get lost. And it's
Yes.
all about that. That's where my mind comes in and tries to make meaning out of it, is where I get lost. Where I don't get lost is when I'm just present with the sensations. Because if I come onto this call and there's a tightness in my chest, and you ask me what's alive in me, and I'd be like, I'm amazing right now, right? I'm lying to you. I'm lying to myself. There's tightness in my chest because I'm stressed. Stressed about the technology, stressed that I judging myself that I woke up an hour ago and I have a whole bunch of things that I wanted to attend to. And it sits in my chest for me to recognize that. And can I just be with that energy? And that's where I just observe it. And then it just moves on its own.
Mm-hmm.
And it gives me insight of what I need.
Mm-hmm.
So it sounds very simple, but it's like me getting out of my own way of analyzing what it is and wanting to control it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brilliant. I love how you all said that. Judgment. Judgment and analysis creates the paralysis within our being. It stops energy from moving, and essentially, we're essentially energetic beings. The instant we try to label something, it shuts us down, it compartmentalizes things, it fractures us. And we can't be that witness that allows us just to be energetic beings that flow fluidly between one part and another. And this is, I truly believe that our body has a higher intelligence. And the only reason why we fracture and that we have these splits is because we judge ourselves. Because that's when we, like you said, oh, I can't be that. So then we tuck something away and we compartmentalize, I can't even say that word, put ourselves into compartments. Now you said something about control, and I'm like, oh, interesting. Maybe, and people talk about surrender, allowing maybe the higher intelligence to organize it for us. Not our limited human capacity. It's useful. And our judgments and our linear mind is super useful when we go about, okay, I have to go to the grocery store and track my grocery list. But when it comes to evolution of our consciousness and authenticity of who we are, we're not one thing. We are not a dad. We are not a engineer, whatever it is. We are a spiritual being, a person in a body having this spiritual experience. And it's been my experience that the body is this conduit to source that has such a high intelligence that it won't allow us to fracture because we're a part of source itself. But when we take our limited intelligence of labels and diagnoses and all of these things, that's what creates the fracture.
Mm. Mm.
Because we're trying to control things based on a human judgment of what is right or wrong, or what is good or what is bad. It's from a very dichotic, split idea of what the world actually is.
Mm. Yeah, it's interesting that my mind organizes from right and wrong.
Yeah.
And most of the time it's wrong because I've been told to act a certain way. I've been told to not feel certain feelings. I've been told to not share certain parts of myself. I got to be a certain way, and as long as I'm consciously aware of that, like again, like if I needed to power through things, like let's say go to the grocery store and get these items, then I play that part. I play that part of like being on track, being focused, and let's get this thing done and move on to the next thing, right? And I get there's space for me to play those parts, like play roles, and but there's also space where I get to be with all of myself, right? Like imagine if I was at work, okay, and I'm getting paid to do a certain role, right? But imagine if I created space for all my parts and just sat there and like kind of tended to all these things, my manager or supervisor wouldn't be impressed by that. There's a part of me that is judging me for not being productive at work. And so there's got to be a time and place of like, when do I compartmentalize to get shit done? And when do I take it out and like observe and integrate the awareness that comes with it? And so it's like this process that's never complete. Like there's a part of me that wants to be complete, that there's got to be a finish line to this, that I figured it out. As I go on this personal development journey, I now really know myself. But what's interesting is I've been on this journey for almost a decade. I'm like, I still don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. And I can only just be in this moment right here now and be careful what I call mental masturbation, because I can trick myself to thinking that I make progress by analyzing and thinking it. And it just goes back to balance. Like for me, to name it, to talk about it, to analyze it helps me connect it with my mind. It helps create understanding. It helps me identify my ego and have my ego on my side, all my parts on my side. But at too much of it, I get lost. I get tangled. So I want to tend to some comments here. Um, Steph, welcome. Yeah,
Hey,
love that you love this conversation.
well, she
Giselle
called me.
says, yeah, so many layers. All of them seem authentic and true because of the different levels of awareness I've gone through. Yeah, it just what I was aware at that time. When I look back, is like different versions of myself. And those versions, if I strive to be authentic, were authentic at that time based on the level of awareness I had. Naomi says, yeah, analysis is another part. Instead, the observant true self under all the parts. Yeah.
Right. Naomi does IFS, internal family systems, so that's pretty cool. Giselle, there seems to be an undulating wave of our connection with authentic self, an undulating wave in and out, in and out. Yes.
Mm,
I'm by
mm,
the ocean. I've been thinking about waves a lot. How waves come in, and when we hit chaos, it's like that crashing wave that brings everything from underneath that's been hidden up onto the surface. And some of us get so wired and panicked when things start not going the way. And what I noticed by sitting by the ocean this week was that the waves crash up and then they go back down. And they always do that. So for me, some of you will know, like, it's really about trust. Trust that there's a higher order and alignment that we've been born into. And Dre, I really like you brought up that example of, well, if I go to work, I have to be focused because, they're not going to be very impressed with me and my productivity if I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing in my job description. And this is where I think a lot of us have a bit too much of that, if I were to judge. Some people have 2 or 3 or 4 jobs, and then they have the 5th job when they go home and have to like do the laundry and drive the kids to whatever. And so we don't have this balance. For some reason, introspection, slowing down, is not revered in our culture. It's very much about speed and pace and, may I say, manufacturing, or what we perceive to be valuable, which is really linked to productivity and money and things versus what creates those things, which is the raw energy from where we come from. Our heartbeat and how they get us back if we go somewhere is through electromagnetic energy impulses. How do we start to be more connected to the energetic realm that our body's informed with? Maybe I'm getting a little esoteric, but like you said, if I analyze something, everything starts or stops moving. I tuck parts of myself away. There's an energy with each part that gets tucked away, that gets fractured and disconnected from everything that I am. And so how do I trust to allow things to move, and also to be able to identify, okay, when do I need to focus? When do I need to get something done? When do I need to use my body as it's present in this moment with this thing to pick up my cup and have a glass of water? I think, and I've said this before, as the most bio-advanced engineered technology, we have that capacity. It's already here. We're perfect as we are. The analysis, the judgment. Oh, I should be working harder. I should earn more money. I should do all of these things. We're thinking about what we should be versus what we are. And taking the time to tap into who we are, that creates the action that we should be taking.
Yeah. And
And
David makes a great comment. We're fragmented because we've been conditioned to do what we believe society expects from us. And this is what creates fear for me. Like, I'm scared to be with all of myself because I've been taught how, and it's counterculture, and I'm afraid to be judged and rejected for it. Because I'm in a culture where this hasn't been taught, this isn't being in a way shared, like in the mainstream culture. Like, instead, mainstream tells me I got to be a certain way, to look a certain way, to be loved and accepted. And I I, I want to belong to the human tribe. There's a deep part of me that wants to belong and is pulled towards wanting to fit in because I just want to be accepted and loved. I don't want to be alone. I don't. And so I do things because I want people to consider me, to appreciate me, to love me, to know that I am worthy, and to trick myself to say, I am worthy, I am worthy. Well, yeah, I need to also have that dialogue with myself, though it's much more exponential and when I'm in the human tribe. When you remind me of my worth, when you see me, oh, thank you for reminding me. It's because I'm just wired to be with others. I'm not meant to be on my own. But when I'm on my own, I know I could tune in and watch my language, right? But it's just much more difficult to be on my own and remind myself than would be with other people, and other people remind me.
Mm-hmm.
Noticing that.
Yeah, there's a meme. I'll have to find it again and repost it that said, you know what? What if people can go up to another person and say, hey, well, you know what? I don't feel quite myself today. Can you remind me of who I am? What if we did that? If people were like, man, I'm feeling lost, I'm feeling exhausted, I'm feeling suicidal, I'm feeling these things, and people didn't judge it. It's the judgment. I took suicidal training, and that's people typically think of it as a heavy topic. But I know everybody here, if they are willing to be honest with themselves, are like, man, this density and being here on the planet sucks sometimes. I'd rather just, if I could find the easy way out, just leave if I could. If people
Mm,
just went, okay, I hear you, and reflected back, these are the things that I see in you. These are the things in you that bring me alive, that reflect back to me my brilliance because you're brilliant.
mm.
It brings me back to the movie Avatar that we watched again this week, The Way of the Water. In front of Awa, the tree of life, the essence of life itself, how we are all a thread and a part of it. And we can't see all of it when we're separated, either from ourselves or the macrocosm, which is everybody in the tribe that surrounds us. When we believe we're separate from them, we create this distance, this disconnection, and lack of meaning in the world. And so, as we start to become more connected to our inner parts, we then are able to see others without judgment. And as we work in our tribe, in our classes, and whatever else, when we come up with people, we feel more whole.
Yeah. When I could just be in a space to name all of it, to be witnessed in it, to like name what's happening within my system, I begin to trust myself more. It's just as if I've been taught to not trust my body, trust what's happening in here, that to be this, and therefore I look to others to teach me what to do. I look to others to guide me to my truth. But then when I'm in a space where I'm like noticing what's happening in my body, naming those parts, over time, I begin to love myself. I begin to trust myself because I gave it space and I gave it voice without judging it. Right? It's like my body's telling me something, and now I'm listening to it versus stuffing it away, hiding it in a locker, a hurt locker. And we got some beautiful comments in here from Stephanie. Yeah, the human design system. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm grateful for the human design. I'm grateful for astrology. These I call mental instruction books, right? To help put it gives me ease to know that, oh, these are who I am. Like when you put into ChatGPT, right? And you asked it, hey, based on the information you collected about me so far, who can you tell the person that I am or something, right? You asked that prompt
Mm-hmm.
and how accurate it was, right? And there's something very relieving having human design reflect back or astrology reflect back to what is true within me. It's as if I can see and then accept my quirks, accept my strengths, accept areas that I may not be strong in. It's like, oh, it's like a user manual in a way that I find brings ease to my mind. Um, yeah, I love the saying, "Can you pour into me? How can I pour into you?"
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thank you for pouring into me
Yeah.
and to be
The
seen for
seeing.
true I am is such a gift. Oh,
Mm,
isn't it?
it is. How do you know?
Yeah.
I'm curious, Giselle. to be seen for who you truly am. How do you know you're being seen for who you truly am? And how does it make you feel? I'm curious about that. How does it make you feel when you feel seen? I mean, you feel seen, but this is where we talked about human design, Dre, and about how that reflects back to us who we are. I was talking about our inner resonant truth, our aha. Somehow we have in this body that we know something is true for us. We all have that light bulb that goes off. Some of us, when we're more fractured, we don't know. We don't know who we are. We feel lost. We go into an identity crisis. I did that when I was 24 years old. I had no idea how to relate to anybody after I got back from India. I was so fractured and so confused by the world. So, how do we start picking up these pieces that go, oh, yes, that fits? That fits in me. That feels true to me. And then find more pieces that feel true to me. And I think a lot of it does come, whatever that comment was, as you pour into me, lending each other our nervous systems as we reintegrate into a calm, centered, unfractured. So many people have so much anxiety going on, like they don't know what's going on. How can we ground ourselves in the chaos, in the eye of the storm that seems to be happening on the human level, in a race in chaos and crisis? And we realize, oh, a lot of the ways that this planet is functioning right now isn't helpful. It's what fractures us. It's what creates the chaos. It's what creates the crisis. And I think part of this is guiding us to know how actually powerful we are when we collect all the pieces. We are so eminently powerful, and we really can't do it alone. And I think this is where, as we come together to fit all our pieces back together, that we're evolving and creating a brand new earth where we aren't so violent to ourselves. Because this pushing away, this tucking away, this judgment, this analysis it's violence that begets other violence that on the big scale creates wars and physical violence.
Yeah, Giselle in response is for her to be truly seen makes her feel loved unconditionally. I feel that truth in my body, my heart feels full.
Oh,
I don't feel like I have to earn anything by people pleasing or constantly giving, giving, giving. Yeah. Naomi also says, like, when I'm on my own, I get lost in the same patterns over and over again. Yeah. When I'm with people to give me a hand and pull me out of my unaware self talk, I need people. Yeah, me too. And I find in this journey, you know, my hope is I become more peaceful, like at peace. It's like freedom and unwiring from the emotional and mental enslavement patterns that are in my system. And there's this inner conflict because it's so nice to be in a space where I'm held and heard and like all parts, right? It feels so good. I feel alive, right? And then I take this energy and I bring it out to the world. It's like as if I dip in and out, and because there's still things I get to do. There's still things I gotta. I'm in the physical plane of existence here. For some of us, we need to go to work, right? We need to pay the bill. Like I'm in a construct that is driven on doing and productivity, right? So how do I integrate this into that life? The extreme ends is I go off and disconnect into the force, right? I'm done. Like,
yeah.
right?
Peace out.
Or the extreme other end is like just robot. So the challenge here for me is integrating that awareness and that beingness into, because sometimes when I'm not talking about it, I'm not giving space, I revert back to this old version of myself again. And it's this feeling of being torn. Ah, being torn. And this is where the chaos comes from, because Debbie mentioned that there's this paradigm of who I should be to be accepted and loved. And this was baked into me growing up as a child, this hyperachiever that I need to work hard, look good, look a certain way to receive the love. It's not even unconditional, it's conditional love from my parents, what I judge it to be, right? And then there's another part of me is like, Trey, just rest. Like, chill. You got this, man. And they fight each other. They're they're in from the outside, it's like they're in opposites of each other. But if I go deep down, this part of me that's working so hard is striving for freedom. And is also wanting to tend to my needs of growth and living with purpose and living with intention and to create and leave a mark in the world. When I think about that, I feel so light. And can I see this part of me just reminding me of that? Like it could be like, Dre, you're being so lazy right now. Like you can't get anything together, right? You keep getting stuck over and over again, right? And if I really listen to the words and personalize it, oh my God, I got so much shame. I'm like down on myself, beating myself up. But just like nonviolent communication, can I hear the feelings and needs behind what my part is saying to me? Because my part, that saboteur, is speaking in a language that isn't life giving. But can I listen to it in a life giving way of being like, ah, thank you, man. Thank you, Mr. Productivity, for reminding me that I do want to be intentional with my time, that I don't want to waste my life, that I want to contribute, that I want to make an impact. Thank you for reminding me to grow, right? So it's just conversations I have with myself.
Yeah, beautiful. And I think that ties in Giselle and Naomi. When fear is replaced by trust, this is the thing, right? When we hear those voices, oh, Mr. Productivity, oh, yeah, I'm not being productive enough, we go into a state of fear. What's the other part of that? Of trusting that voice, hearing what it's really saying. It wants to be it wants to contribute to the world, which is a need we all have. And so, how can we consistently go to recognizing when we're in a state of fear, which creates those negative ideas, to one of trust, which transmutes and transforms it into something that's life giving? Let's see here. What else do we have? Peace feels like the way forward. And peace, how do you get to peace? When you replace fear with trust, there's peace. I love how all your comments are just weaving everything together. So, how do we move into more trust? And I think part of that, like Giselle says, when I'm held in the energy of others, when I can see and interrupt the patterns of fear, those negativity, that way we speak to ourselves in those negative ways through conscious communication, through identifying what we feel and what we need, there's unconditional love, there's trust, there's peace. And I think as all of us come together to do that, we're exponentially learning it. It's starting just to click back into place where we remember, which remember, by the way, means to put back together again. So we're putting together all of our parts together quicker, faster. So we remember where we came from and why we've been fractured apart. Maybe it's an exercise of putting ourselves back together again just because we can prove we can do it. I don't know why we're so fractured and how that became to be. Christine. Hmm.
We all want the freedom to express ourselves honestly. Yes, it's inherent in me, and I find that helps me bring myself back to wholeness when I journal, when I can talk about, when I can name it, when I can label it, I can see it. But what's in here, and I'm thinking, analyzing, I'm like, I'm really lost at that. I meant authenticity. However, you're honest to a fault gives a sense of what we can. I meant authenticity. However, you're honest to a fault gives a sense of what we can. If you can clarify that, Christine, doesn't land for me yet, and so I don't want to assume what you mean, but open for your clarification. As you're sharing, babe, like this is part of me that wants simplicity. Like, and where am I going with this? Is that all of me, like all those parts of me? And you mentioned trust. Can I just trust that all these parts of me are life giving?
Mm-hmm.
That want to serve me? Just like my mom and dad telling me that, how come you didn't get an A? Is that it? How come you're doing this wrong? You should do this. Look at that kid. That kid's being a doctor. And ouch. It's as if I've taken those judgmental voices in myself as attacks of I'm not worthy, but rather the frame is, huh, they're just loving me in their own way. They want to protect me. That actually all those parts in me exists for self-preservation. They're part of this. They want to exist. They want me to be alive because if I was alive, these parts wouldn't be here. And so can I trust the fact that no matter what language you're speaking to me, that they're they're wanting to contribute to my life, that they're life-giving.
Mm. I love that language. How do we translate language into something that's life-giving? Especially when
Yes.
English is not. I'm excited about this because Dre and I put into Chat GTP, what is the base foundation or question that English asks? And the question is, what's that thing? That objective thing over there versus ancient and Aboriginal language asks the question of, what's my relationship to that thing? And so English is built for civilization, it's built for systems, it's built for productivity, it's built for objectivity versus subjectivity versus the relational ones, which see patterns with everything. And so this is where what you're saying, you're translating, oh, this productivity thing, what is it really saying to me? It's a violent language, English, inherently, based on productivity to keep us in these compartmentalized ways so we can get shit done. So, how do we translate what we've been taught and how we typically speak to ourselves? Oh, you're so stupid, Summer. Why didn't you go faster? Why did you do that? Why didn't you get an A, Andre, in that test? Like, how do we learn to translate that? And what I've learned is there's two ways. One is just going into the pure energetic reality of it, because the pure energetic reality of it is trust, it is surrender, it is life giving. But then, how do we translate our emotions, that energy that runs through our body?
Mm. Mhm. And to bring it from the esoteric
Mm-hmm.
to concrete, it's through conscious communication.
Yes, it is. It's translation. Some of us don't know how to translate energy. It moves on its own. I call it soul language. It's our first language. Feelings are our first language. And we've been tricked into watching movies outside images and things as if they're outside of ourselves versus watching our inner movie that plays out. And follow me here because I'm really excited about this. Metaphors speak 1,000 words. Images speak 1,000 words, and images are based in metaphor. When we watch movies, we get these emotions and these sensations. Well, in our own mind's eye, we have a movie that plays out. Some of us will say, oh, I don't dream, I don't get that stuff. But as soon as you start tapping into yourself, these things are revealed to you. And as you start tapping into them, you start to understand what it means. And then, of course, from those metaphorical places, from that energetic places, like you said, Dre, we have to translate that to verbal language. And it gets lost in translation. We haven't been taught how to translate the energy in our body very well. Most of us don't know what feelings and needs are. Most of us aren't comfortable sitting long enough to allow energy to move. We're too busy compartmental. Oh, I don't want to feel that. Make it go away. Oh, that's not what I'm supposed to be. Versus being so curious. And again, this goes from being in fear to being in trust is curiosity. Oh, wow. What an amazing landscape. What an amazing movie inside my own body and my own mind. It's better than the ones from Hollywood. And the information that comes through us is keyed into our own experience. It's the most beautiful thing. And I'm just going to pass it over to you, Dre.
Yeah. Like as you're experiencing or sharing that, like it just comes from your experience of being with yourself for the energetic blueprint, right? And for me to bring that, because I appreciate that the abstraction of that, the esotericism of that, the energetic blueprint, because it comes from a place where you've been there and back, and that comes from an embodied sense. Though for, let's say, someone that hasn't experienced that, how do we make it tactical, right? How do we bring into something that's strategic? The key piece here is to be with someone that's been there, right? Because there's a modeling that happens. Like like I learn from seeing other people do it. It's as if like if I were to get very spiritual or woo-woo, it's as if I'm receiving codes. We're exchanging
Yes.
codes automatically from being in each other's presence because you've unlocked something. I'm just around you and I see you unlock something in me. So if I'm with someone that's been there before, this is where mentorship comes from. This is where the power of being in that group dynamic. Then I can learn through observing their beingness. And one piece is like that person going to hold space for me, create space for me where I can just be with my sensations without judgment. Just naming it. I'm feeling sad. I'm feeling because I need this. What's happening here? No judgment. So I begin to build that language and the connection points to my somatic awareness of what my body's telling me, right? And then the next piece is if that person has conscious communication skills, they can support me with translating what's happening within me into a life serving language. So if I have judgments of myself of being like, man, I'm such a fucking idiot right now, like I can't get anything right. And someone could be like, is it that you're frustrated with yourself because you're needing some more competence in your life? I'm like, yeah, that's right. Right. Um, it's like just re converting the words of judgment into feelings and needs.
Yep. Pretty much. Well, and converting the words of judgment and fear, because I believe judgment comes out of fear, into the life-giving energy of what is it? Fear versus trust. Trust in oneself. Trust that we're here for a reason. I mean, are we happenstance? Did we just, who are we really? And I guess this goes back to, are we just this body in this lifetime, or does our energy continue? And as Einstein says, and I see this all the time, energy can't be created or destroyed, only transformed. So when our bodies leave, we have an energetic blueprint. We have a spirit. We have a soul that continues. How many lifetimes we've been here, I don't know. And this is where our individual life is a part of another whole with consciousness itself, with the collective. Carl Jung would call it the collective consciousness. And so as we tuck parts away, or we judge others, or we blame, criticize others, we're separating ourselves from the whole of what human consciousness is. And so as we realize and accept triggers or irritations or annoyances of others, it's just a reflection of a part of myself that I want to reclaim. And so how do we go about recognizing that irritation? Like you said, oh, Dre, you're just so whatever, or that person's whatever. Oh, how does that land in my body? Usually it's a reflection of a part of ourselves that we've tucked away. And as we can sit with it and reveal it to ourselves, it's funny, that other person isn't quite so annoying anymore. In fact, we start to love them because we've brought that part of ourselves that they reflected to us back into our own field. And this is why working with others in a place can be so nurturing and life-giving as we start to reclaim who we are on a universal level.
Some comments here. Debbie says, parts want to be seen and heard. They all want to protect us. Sometimes they just come on a little too strong. Yes, it's noticing that all the voices within me are actually in service to me. It just learned a language that is life taking. Just like our parents, right? They did the best they could with what they've been taught, but deep down, my parents love me despite what they say. So it's kind of going back to, like, if my partner was angry, right? It's so easy for me to personalize it, but what is he actually saying, and what is she actually saying behind that, right? And it can be challenging, especially in intimate relationships. So Christine, the cliche, you're honest to a fault. What that means to me, that sometimes a person's authentic self expressing their honest feelings have the potential to deeply hurt the person they're talking to. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. I mean, here's a piece where, um, if I can speak my truth, right? And there's what I call three stages of emotional liberation. First stage is emotional slavery, where I'm a victim to my circumstances pouring me. Stage two is emotional noxiousness, where it's like, hey, this is your problem. Deal with it. I'm going to say anything and not even consider how that impacts you. Stage three is emotional liberation. I know I'm not responsible for how you feel and think, but I am also aware of what impact I leave on you,
Yeah.
that I'm also caring for the impact my words, my being have on you. And so it is a dance and an art where, if I'm speaking to someone that may not have conscious communication skills, may not have the same level of awareness, that might personalize what I say, then it can be more challenging to speak my truth with those people, like my parents, right? They might just twist it around and throw it back at me, whatever judgments I have. And one thing that has helped me is, can I own my words? Can I own my experience? Because if I'm using language of speaking my authentic truth by blaming and shaming and judging other people, and if they don't have the skills to see what I'm really feeling and needing, yeah, they're gonna become defensive. They're gonna throw it back at me, right? But can I come from a place of communicating my truth of how it's in relation to me in my system? And at the same time, I can't control how Summer takes it. I can preface it by saying, hey, this is a story that I have. This is my experience, right? I can preface it by saying, This is not about you. This is my reflection. But however you receive it is yours, right? But it's got to be a safe enough space to set the pre-context of having those crucial conversations, right? Without taking it personally. But at the same time, I can't control all the variables. I can't control how you receive it. So I can see how a part of me is afraid of sharing the shades of truth, right? But it really goes back to, what am I experiencing for me? That's it. Not you, but what's happening within my system. Because if I can own it and describe what's happening within me, like my chest is getting tight, I'm getting angry. Not you're making me angry, right? You're making me stress. You're causing me to shut down right now. Like, it allows people to hear me more because I'm not making it about them. I'm making it about me and my experience. I'm not sure if that helps. I'm just coming through what's coming through for me. Anything to add to that?
I think that's great. Yeah, we can be honest. I mean, I could say, "Hey, you're a fucking asshole." I'm just being honest with you. I mean, right? What are the layers of honesty? And I think it starts with the honesty with ourselves, which is, what parts have I tucked away? What parts do I disown? How can I come out of fear to trust that everything I am is okay? That's the true honesty, is being able to identify in the moment. That's why Eckhart Tolle has the power of now. But most of us don't really, in any interaction that's going on, we're not sure what's really going. We don't know how to instantly translate what I'm feeling in my body to speak it in a way that's life-giving. Triggers are, oh, something's gone on. I don't know what's gone on here, and I'm just going to react in a violent way, in an unconscious way. So how do we start observing in a way that allows us to go, oh, like Andre say, oh, my stomach's churning right now. Oh, I'm feeling nauseous. Something, it doesn't feel quite right here. And this is where, in a safe environment, we get to pause and take a breath. Breath makes this space to be able to see. Sometimes we're so urgent. Oh my God, I'm in chaos. I have to do something. I have to. And this is where we start to learn, oh, no, 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 no. We get to slow down. As we slow down, our honesty increases because we can see more than one truth. When we're reactive, it's that one part, that protector part, that whatever part of ourselves that's coming out and it takes over us, versus slowing down to understand the relationship it has to everything I am and to that person. And so the slower and the more trust we can develop by getting out of fear that all those parts are going to take over us, we then are, it's not that we were dishonest, but we're more honest because we're seeing more. We're seeing the patterns of our own inner parts and also how they relate to the other person, and eventually also to bigger patterns in the culture, in society, in what we're doing. It's very revealing to, oh, hey, there's my pattern. Every time Dre does this, or every time he leaves, I feel this. Oh, it's the same pattern. Oh, cool. How can I interrupt that? I'd like a different pattern, a more life-giving pattern. And that's where it becomes
Yeah.
fun.
And we can bring it to the table, right? And one thing, as you share, if I were to simplify it, is what's in my control is communicating in a life-giving way. Just doing my best. Like, if I were to communicate my truth and my authenticity to someone, if I communicate in a life-giving way, there's going to be a soft landing. If I communicate in a life taking way, which is judgments, blame, shame, criticism, then it's going to be a hard landing. And so that's in my control is do I know the skills, right? To notice where my body is it in protection mode? Is my prefrontal cortex offline and my amygdala's on because I'm trying to survive and protect? I got to regulate. Okay, regulate. Create some spaciousness of this awareness. Oh, okay. And then have the skills of conscious communication to be like, how can I translate my default language, which is life taking, to life giving? Because one thing is for real is that this culture has trained me to speak in life taking ways.
Yep.
And the truth doesn't have to hurt when it's coming from a life giving language.
Yeah. So I have this question for you. How do you know that you've spoken in a life-giving way?
Yeah. So for me, it's about relating back to my own experience. And if I use the framework of nonviolent communication, it's expressing my feelings and needs.
Hmm.
Yeah.
But for example, if I go to a conversation and I think, okay, I think I've got this. I think I've got life-giving here, and I say something to you, how do I know that it's actually life-giving to you? By how you respond, right?
Yeah.
So it takes a lot, it takes some practice. We can improve our skills, but sometimes there's little nuances in there we don't realize because we're so steeped in the violence and the life-taking types of language. And so we learn only by practicing and seeing the responses of others. And then our job is, okay, that wasn't life-giving to them based on their response, which might not be life-giving back. And then we go back again and we go, okay, what was that? What am I feeling in my body based on that? And so it's a continual learning process. And we might have said, oh, I communicated in a life-giving way. Why did you take it so badly? No, we know it's been life-giving based on the response of someone else. It's a soft landing. There's a connection, there's emotion if we've been truly life-giving and authentic.
Hmm.
And there's
Yeah.
layers to the nuances and sometimes the emotional undercurrents of slight manipulation or something that we don't recognize in ourselves until someone else gives us the feedback that it's not life-giving to them.
Mm, yeah. Hey, Nate.
Nate, hey.
Appreciate acknowledgements. Yeah. I also am touched by your desire to meet up at the farmers market today. Summer and I are in Victoria, so that won't happen today.
Yeah, we're not flying back, but we'd love to. I love the farmers market. Love to see you there next week. Oh no,
Mm.
we're not here, not in Edmonton next week either, but we can do that. We can set up a time. Send me a
Well,
message.
not this weekend, but next week we will be. We'll be flying back.
We're gonna
We'll
be
be
at,
arriving on a Wednesday.
yeah, but we'll be at Vibes for the weekend, so we won't be in Edmonton again.
Oh, gotcha. Mm.
But we will meet up on a different Friday or Saturday at the farmers market. Sounds great.
Yeah. And so as we come to close here, I just want to tie up this conversation and opening up the theme of chaos and how chaos is also happening within oneself and all the different parts of ourselves. What would you say like would be your insight or takeaway or to wrap things up on completion in your end?
It might be that although things look like chaos, there's divine order. And when you trust it, it makes life a lot simpler. Yeah, it's about being around people that can guide you into a state of trust rather than fear. Because the divine order, who we are, where we come from, is beautiful and it's orderly. That's what I would
Yeah.
say.
Yeah. Thank you. What I
Yeah.
would say is being in community, being with people that have these skills and are constantly working on themselves to integrate wholeness, because that gives me permission to be whole. And also, there's a thing about me being more hard on myself and judgmental of myself than harding on other people and judging other people. And so when I see other people go through their stuff, it inherently gives me compassion and self grace for myself. Yeah. I become less harsh on myself when I see others own their stuff, speak their truth, go through their struggles, and I'm just reflecting back a language of life. And after that experience, I'm reminded of reflecting back to myself the language of life.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'd like to add to that because it's an embodied experience. We feel it in our body. A lot of us think we need to learn stuff in our head, but this work is about feeling it. And it's just like an automatic download, just like, oh, I learned that in a different way through our body. Um, Christine was talking about the farmer's market that Nate's talking about is Bountiful, um, the Bountiful Farmer's Market.
In
So,
Edmonton.
yeah.
Hey, Sarah. All right.
Oh, Sarah, we're just wrapping it up for today.
Yeah.
We had a great discussion about inner chaos, chaos in the world, and how we can find trust, peace, and order together.
Yeah. Through the language of life.
The language of life itself. Yeah.
Speaking to ourselves in that way, to our parts, hearing what our parts are really saying through the language of life.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Which is not straight English as we've been taught. Nope.
No, no. Yes, English is like,
You're not doing enough. Do something else. Right.
okay.
All right. Till next
Well, ciao, everyone.
time.
Until next time.
Please follow us on YouTube if you can. That would be very
Yes.
helpful to us.
Get Resourced. And we also have a Facebook group called Get Resource Group for conscious co-creating relationships.
Yeah,
So,
if you want to join in. Bye, everybody.
see you in those spaces. Ciao.